Greetings everyone, this is Timothy Youngs, a Digital Apothecary, and today I want to talk about an issue that has been kind of bothering me a lot lately. And this comes from just a lot of work I've been doing in terms of evaluating digital health startups, especially focused in the medication adherence space. There's a lot of times where I hear people either put on social media or put on their white papers when they talk. When they mention stuff either in public presentations or things about how medication adherence is a $300 billion problem. And, for years I've been wondering, where did that number come from? It's almost like when we say you need to walk 10,000 steps a day in order to be healthy. And you have Fitbit and other things saying, walk this much. And when you think about it, it's not really a personalized approach. Rather, it's just a general number. And, when you had these quips like $300 billion, that's a lot of money. Let's be honest. JAMA just put out a paper I've been reading through. It comes down to waste in the U.S. healthcare system. And you look at this thing and it's just billions and billions of dollars they're wasting. They're talking about $760 billion to $935 billion. I can imagine healthcare costs, just due to waste and not doing things right, is a $1 trillion cost at some point. And people say medication here is $300 billion, and if you fund my product, I'll solve it, and I'll get payers to back it, and we'll fix this problem. And that it sounds almost idiotic in terms of, because if you're a person that's gonna fund something, if you're gonna follow something, you say, hey, if your solution, which I can just give to my patients or those that I cover, and it's going to improve their adherence, and that's going to drastically reduce my costs, and it's a no-brainer. Let's just do it. Let's just buy it or cover and do it. Just show me some evidence that it actually works. And yet, this stuff's been out for decades. I would say it was a big boom in terms of making a lot of medication adherence devices and services that really are coming to the forefront now. But, you saw all these apps launch, in 2010. A lot of devices have been in development. And, we're in this digital health adherence boom. And they love this number and they throw it out. And now they're, publishing their results, and not all of them are positive. Hell, I would say a lot of them are negative. There's been a number that have been published in JAMA that have shown using smart pill bottles don't work. I will say this, though. That a lot of them were using one product as GlowCap, and they weren't seeing positive results. Haven't seen kidney transplants, CAD, for instance, even heart failure. AdhereTech recently pushed a publication. They were with Avila Specialty Pharmacy, small pilot trial. I think about 40 people. I'm going to write about that. But it did show, that one showed some positivity. So I think there's some of these things work, some of them don't. And the issue is a lot of them is trying to meet a clinical endpoint, because it's the intervention comes down to the device itself. You've probably seen my other posts. If not, then you can look them up. And I had infographics out about all the different companies that are trying to disrupt the adherence space, whether it's smart pill bottles, smart pill trays, sensors that you attach onto medications, bioadjustable, smart inhalers, smart insulin pens, etc. They're all there, and it's going to keep coming. They have to. I would say the innovation will have to come with it. But for me, I would say the biggest concern I have with this is, I think this has actually led to this weird segue where you are in favor of creating this tech solution, and everyone wants a tech solution now, because it seems that's just a sexy thing to do. Everyone wants a tech solution. If you throw it on there and you can fix it and you get from A to point B, then you're great. But the reality, it's not A to B, it's A to B to C to D. It's a multifaceted, nuanced complication. And I'm going to walk you through some of the stuff I've seen that has really kind of where this stuff came from, let's put it that way. And then let you see my logic in terms of why I think this is an issue. So I do have a post up. If you want to read the full analysis, it's here on my website, Digital Apothecary. And the one thing that a lot of these papers companies were citing is this thing. This is from Nihi, or Nihi. I don't know how to pronounce it, to be quite honest. But in any event, they recognize that there's $700 billion waste, which is very similar to the JAMA piece. And this was published back in like 2009, so it's not really like news in terms of like how much it costs. And they came out to say like you can do all these different things to help improve it. But this number, $290 billion, often gets rounded up to $300 billion. How do you track adherence? You actually really can't. You really can't track the cost of non-adherence of medications. It's not like we had this pool of data saying, oh, this person didn't take this medication, which led to X, Y, Z. We've had to infer it a lot. And these guys did too. I mean, like, when you actually pull up their actual document, and I have a link here, you can read it too. Go to Appendix 1, you'll see the mechanism. And I took out this little subset. So the study estimated the likelihood of a patient experiencing one or more drug-related problems, so DRPs, in an ambulatory care setting, and the cost of subsequent negative outcomes. Specifically, DRPs included untreated indication, improper drug selection, subtherapeutic dosage, failure to receive drugs, overdosage, adverse drug events, drug interactions, and drug use without indication. The study did not delineate poor adherence from other DRPs, so the estimate includes the overall impact of DRPs. So think about that. This $290 billion problem is not adherence. It's drug-related problems overall. It just got thrown into it. Why? Because if you're going to make a slide that jumps out to someone, you can say, non-adherence costs $300 billion. That sounds a lot better than saying X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. This whole list causes this $300 billion problem. Because now those are multiple problems you have to solve versus just throwing in one big group and saying non-adherence. I think this has been a disservice to the pharmacists and to the pharmacy community overall, because what's done is it's opened up with this logic that, hey, if you can just solve non-adherence, you solve all this problem. It's pretty simple then. But when you start saying, oh, overdosage, adverse effects, drug interactions, subtherapeutic dosing, wait a minute, this is multifaceted now. This now requires multiple different tools, services, people. Who wants to pay for that? And suddenly, that makes it tough. I think that's it. I think that's the biggest bottom line, is that these numbers don't add up. I mean, like, then you go down here, and if you want to see like the summary of how they got to that, they talk about how this leads to physician visits, hospital admissions, ED visits, LTC facility admissions, additional prescriptions, total deaths and such. We'll take out total deaths here. But yeah, you get 289 billion. Round it up, 290. Round it even greater, 300, because that's a nice even number for everyone to just grab onto and remember off the top of their head. So now non-adherence is $300 billion, but it never was. And that's why there's a publication that was published in 2018 Annals of Pharmacotherapy. I love them. It's Watanabe and colleagues. And when I saw this thing, the first thing I read was their introduction, and it had a section in there that just got me. And I had to put it in this. However, the cost associated with drug use reaches beyond the purchase of prescribed medications to encompass additional medical costs and morbidity and mortality resulting from medication regimens that are not optimized to effectively treat the indication, resulting in a treatment failure where the resolvable medical problem is not adequately treated, and a new medical problem where a prescribed medication causes or contributes to an incident's clinical symptoms or syndrome, or both a TFN and NMP. Although widely misdescribed in the published literature and policy documents as the cost associated with patient non-adherence to medications. So they say here like this cost has been mostly estimated $209 billion. They're pulling it from the NIHI, but they identify that saying that this is non-adherence is not true. It's more than that. So non-adherence to indicated medication regimen is just one multiple potential causal factor leads to these treatment failures, which leads to downstream health services use, which is hospitalizations, LTC, adding new prescriptions, etc. So it's non-optimization of care. Okay, so now we change the language. Now it's not a $300 billion problem. It's now based on this, and they did this data in 2018. It's almost a $500 billion problem due to non-optimization of medications. Throwing a service, throwing an app, throwing a device at this isn't going to fix the problem. And what I want you to take away from this is I am not saying making this stuff, making adherence solutions is a flaw. Never. I love them. If you talk to me more, you'll find out I love these devices. I think that they will become mainstream. I'm always cognizant that I think digital health eventually just becomes healthcare. That's one thing I say. Because that's just what it turns into. I think we're in this transitional period where we're trying to figure out what devices, what services, and what means of assessing adherence is the best tool. Because these things are a tool. They're not the end-all, be-all. Because when you get down to it, these DRPs, or drug-related problems, this is something that is taught to pharmacy students and every pharmacist recognizes. I don't think this terminology is widely used in the medical community, and I don't think it's really passed around a lot to other people. But drug-related problems is basically what I and everyone else in the pharmacy community live by, because that's what we're looking for. That's how we identify. That's the issues we come across. And some of them that I'll list here is like adverse drug reaction to therapy. Talking to a patient can help us figure out whether or not they're having issues for it. And 9 out of 10 patients live within 5 miles of a pharmacy. Pharmacists, by and large, talk to patients a lot. They see us usually once a month, maybe once every 3 months to pick up prescriptions. That's more often than they see their provider for like a physical fitness every year. And if they have questions, they ask us. But but the problem with that is we don't get paid for that. So, we have these conversations with patients, we identify an issue, we refer back to a provider and such, but we're not going to get paid for it. We are a product-based model, and there's issues with that. There's clawbacks, the DRFEs. You're seeing independent pharmacies across the United States close. So trying to provide a service and provide the time to do these things and not being remunerated while you're trying to fight to keep your business alive because you have to get prescriptions out the door, do you think the pharmacists are going to be able and empowered to do these things? It's basically free labor. And at the end of the day, management, everyone else, healthcare is a business. Someone's going to want to make money. So we'll do our best. We'll provide the services because that is what we're supposed to do. But are we empowered to do as much as we could? No one's paying a pharmacist directly to provide these clinical services. Rather, we do them as they come along. But is it at the top of our list? Theoretically, yes. Practically, probably not. But anyway, these drug-related problems, so like drug choice problems. You wouldn't believe how many times that we see people who are on treatment that they shouldn't even be on just because they may be on medications that maybe 10 years ago were recommended, but now not. New guidelines have come out, new treatment therapy, so there's an inappropriate drug choice. You have patients, because they see multiple practitioners, or on duplicate therapy. They could be on like 2 beta blockers. They could be on just multiple different medications. The other day I had a person on 2 different antidepressants that made no sense because it's the same class, SSRIs. 2 different prescribers. That was it. Just they didn't know because MedRec and everything else and data interoperability is crap in the United States, even though we're trying to fix that. But when anyone caught it, maybe not. We did, but how much? That's because the patient had issues, and we identified it. But we had to wait till that person had that time before we did it. We weren't proactive. Contraindication: patients with allergies that get put on treatment and then they have issues from it. It could be disease problems. They could have basically, let's say, poorly functional kidneys, and they're put in a drug that then leads to further problems because the drug's not being cleared from the body, which means it activates more, does other problems. That's always fun because then that causes them to go seek medical care, and that because they never got caught beforehand because no one reviewed it. Or something happened to the patient over the course of years being on therapy and no one checked in because they didn't do any lab work. But no one requested it because no one thought to do it. Lack of indication. There's so many patients on this stuff. One of my favorite is you go to a hospital and then for stress ulcer prophylaxis you get put on the PPI and you get discharged and you stay on the PPI. I have a patient that basically recovering from motor vehicle accident, young, really young. They're on a PPI. They have no history of GERD or anything else. It's stress ulcer prophylaxis. And they're like, I don't know, they discharged me on it. I thought I was supposed to stay on it. Didn't even know what it was for. It's that kind of stuff. Great. Let's fix it. Dosing problems, again, based on drugs interacting with each other or the fact that there might be disease issues like your liver's not working well, your kidney's not working well, drugs need to be dosed appropriately. Sometimes drugs are just underdosed. and not reach maximized therapy. I love heart failure, for instance, and those drugs have to be, the more and the higher dose you reach on, the better likelihood you have of reducing mortality. But half the time they just add on therapy and no one titrates them up further because they don't have the time to monitor them. Drug utilization issue. I mean, that's basically like adherence, or I can't afford it, or things like that. And you have to take the time to do it. So like here's where the adherence falls into monitoring this. Drug interactions, again, just going through all that. And failure therapy. The drug doesn't work. And having to intervene there. So if you watch some of my other videos, you've heard me like tag onto this stuff, but this is like the big thing, this medication non-optimization. Because this is where I see it. We as pharmacists need to basically come out and say, hey, look, this is $1 billion, this is more than $300 billion due to poorly optimized therapy. We can use wearable data, we can use sensor-based data, we can use adherence-based data to intervene. We do medication therapy management, we do comprehensive medication management as well, or CMM, or MTM. But again, coming back to timing, if it takes 60 minutes to do this, and you only get paid $40 for that service, you can't make a business out of that. Not especially when pharmacists, their salary costs almost more than $50 an hour, not including benefits and everything else. So if the pharmacist is only making like $40 an hour doing these kind of clinical services, you can't make a business. No one wants to do it. But I do see a lot of startups, getting into space. There's one company I love, Airing. They finally put out that they have some contracts going. Like their service is technology and data analytics and everything else. That cuts down the time. We can now do MTM and comprehensive medication management way quicker, and now it becomes a business, and now we have more time to put into it, and it would probably hopefully reduce costs. That's it. That's the stuff we need. Medication adherence. Like why do I love this though? Why do I love these devices? Like I'll call on a few, like Proteus. So everyone like busts on Proteus because they're like, oh, why would we want to know when someone swallowed their medication, or it doesn't improve adherence. I think you're doing a disservice. So if you just concentrate on adherence alone, there's a reason why almost all the clinical studies are like failing. It's not like the adherence. They're not meeting clinical endpoints. Like the Medisafe BP trial. Yeah, based on Maersk scale analysis, patients self-reported their adherence was better. But they didn't improve their blood pressure. The BEAT HF study, they didn't really improve there with their wearables and such. CAD, one of these JAMA studies, didn't reduce rehospitalizations for reoccurrence of an MI and such. But they were just collecting the data and weren't doing anything with it. That's the thing. Like no one passed it up or kicked it back to a pharmacist and said, hey, they are adherent or they're not adherent. Because, okay, if they're adherent and they're still not reaching clinical therapy, then let's change it. There's lots of literature saying out, let's say for hypertension, that a pharmacist can remotely monitor and treat hypertension. We just need a mechanism to do it. Now I know my patient's taking the medication. I know they're adherent. Their blood pressure is not a goal. I know what the goal is supposed to be. I know what the guidelines say for treatment. So let's do it. And if it doesn't work, if I think it's resistant hypertension or I think there's a secondary cause of hypertension, kick it back to the provider. It's there. And this stuff, these drug-related problems, comprehensive medication management, and this technology, it all fits together to basically empower the pharmacist to do more. So yes, we should be developing these tools. We should be making them. But they by themselves, I don't think is going to solve the problem. And I would really challenge a lot of companies to think about the pharmacist. I think they should be advocating for this. I think pharmacists should be the people that basically make your product live and breathe. Because if you could have the pharmacist be able to bill for remote patient management, monitoring, if we can have collaborative and more empowered to do this stuff and engage in teleservices, I think we can answer this question, like this problem. It's there. It's so easy. It's right there. But I think there needs to be more agreement between people just saying, slap a service or device on it and fix itself, versus no, we need to have people use our stuff to reach, what we want. And I think everyone wants to improve patient care, so I think that's going to be great. But this is also a reason why I see, I think this whole adherence issue and trying to make devices why you see so many companies, when you read through them, they have like no clinical staff. They don't have like a pharmacist or physician, or maybe they have a physician, but they're a consultant and such, because they think it's such an easy solution. And then they're frustrated when they're not seeing it in their pilots or when they're doing in clinical studies and such. They can't figure out why. And I would say it's just because we know it is a complicated thing, and having us involved would, I think, solve this problem. So, the bottom line for me is, the more that we hear this $300 billion problem, we need to rectify and say it's medication non-optimization. And the pharmacist can help optimize this stuff. And that these tools, these services, these startups can work with us, and we can use them to deliver better care that can reduce that cost. We need to be implemented into the workflow. We need to have our own views as well incorporated into how to solve it. Because most physicians I know don't want to know about adherence data. They don't want to sort through it. They might not even want to sort through a lot of the data being coming up all the time. But for pharmacists, a lot of the data fits into this thing, and these are things we would love to utilize. And I think we could see it as a way to basically help our profession move beyond a product-based model where it's just get prescriptions out the door, but not only getting prescriptions out the door, but also monitoring it and make sure it's working for our patients and nothing bad's happening, because we can have real-time data assessing it, and we can provide better clinical care because we're trained to do that. It's just that it often gets passed over. And I think it's this whole facet that for the past decade, we've been fixated on just adherence, and we've lost sight of the fact it's just optimization, and medications would help out a lot. So yeah, that's the stuff that's been on. Feel free, I'll have a link below if you want to read through the stuff and just, pull up the papers themselves. And, I welcome your comments. I welcome your thoughts. I don't mind being challenged on this. I just think it's coming to a point where we can't just let this continually slide, because people are just going to be wasting money, when I think you already have healthcare professionals right there and ready to work with you and to address this issue. So anyway, this is Timothy Youngs, the Digital Apothecary. Take care and have a good day.